Hello and welcome to the fourth season of What's in a Story. And a big thanks to all the listeners, as it's all because of you that this podcast enters into its second year. I am Lopamudra Moitro, and in my podcast, I read the stories from my books as an anthropologist, writer, and translator working with popular culture and heritage of India and South Asia. And I introduce each story with some additional information from different fields of history, archaeology, geology, and others, which helps to bring a context to the story. I would like to add here that understanding this context is supremely important, as most of these stories from folklore took shape across several centuries and over a vast period of time. Many features were added to the narratives in this time period. Thus, before taking these stories as historical proof, one should be careful enough to understand the historical context as well as socio-cultural, religious, political context of the stories mentioned within each story. Across the last year, at most unusual places, it was nice to have met people coming up to me and speaking about the many stories that I have narrated across the last 1 year, and how they really like the stories as well as the books, my books from which I read them. The experience has not only been enriching but also greatly rewarding. I never thought it would be reaching out to so many people around the world what began as a small individual effort in last year May in 2025. Presently, and thanks to all the listeners, this podcast reaches across 11 countries of the world, and according to the present available listeners data, this includes a part from India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Germany, UK, Russia, Austria, Brazil, Singapore, Poland, and the USA. This in itself is a huge achievement, and I sincerely thank each and every listener from the core of my heart. Now, a little bit about the fourth season. In this season, I would like to share some very interesting narratives that I came across about teachers. And by that, I would like to travel outside the domains of school walls and explore a larger area where a person, of course, who teaches in an educational institution is of course a teacher, but also one who motivates, encourages, helps to organize your random thoughts, mentors you in difficult times, or simply inspires you to move ahead in spite of all adversities. A teacher thus transgresses any narrow definition and encompasses all of these and perhaps a lot more. While collecting these stories, each experience has been deeply heartening, and as we begin the second year of this podcast, this is a dedication to the many unsung heroes of our lives, the teachers. About the story. The title of today's story is The Spear Cry Out, narrative of a Naga archaeologist. The story is written by Tiatoshi Jamir, a professor at the Department of History and Archaeology, Nagaland University. His main interests are prehistory, ethnoarchaeology, community archaeology, and ethnomusicology. The author's interest in the work and life of Vikuosa Nienu grew after his visit to the archival exhibition at the Naga Hornbill Festival held in Kohima and locating Nienu's work in a bulletin. Situated within a post-colonial narrative, the text examines the biography of Vikuosa Nienu, a pioneering Naga archaeologist, his formative years at the School of Archaeology, New Delhi, and thereafter his intellectual life nurtured within the Western academia and the major paradigms that shaped his understanding of the historical past of the northeast India, in particular the Naga hills. Follows the story I read out from my book, The Owl Delivered the Good News All Night Long, Folktales, Legends and Modern Lore of India by Aleph Book Company. The story follows is from Nagaland in northeastern India. The story. The spear cry out narrative of a Naga archaeologist. At an archival exhibition at the Naga Hornbill Festival held in Kohima, an important bulletin was on display that read Highlander. It appeared to be an old but informative official biannual research bulletin of the Department of Art and Culture, formerly Department of Cultural Research and State Museum, Government of Nagaland. Flipping through the pages of one of the volumes of the Highlander, Volume 2, Number 1, published in 1974, the author stumbled upon an article titled Recent Prehistoric Discoveries in Nagaland, a survey by Vikuosa Nienu, whose contribution to archaeology in Nagaland remains significant till today. Prior to the studies and research of Vikuosa Nienu, no archaeological investigation had ever been conducted in Nagaland, that too at a time when the political situation in Nagaland was tense, making field archaeology problematic and challenging. The discipline of archaeology in Nagaland owes much to Vikuosa Nienu in introducing the cultural historical approach, processual and behavioural archaeology in the region. All this was possible from his exposure as a student at the University of California, Berkeley, and the Grasshopper Pueblo Field School during the early 1970s. To the present generation of archaeologists from the northeast India, Vikuosa Nienu's contribution to the region's prehistory is an unfamiliar one. But for those who knew him, he was often considered as a man preoccupied by his own idiosyncratic ideas. Elders of many villages still narrate accounts of his early excavation in the area. Nienu's association with the villages he visited, the keen observations he made, and the insights he drew to identify archaeological sites from the people's cultural memories demonstrate his true spirit and training in anthropology. Barring colonial reports of groundstone tools and others, his report on the discovery of an archaeological site at Chungliimti stands as the first pioneering effort. Vikuosa Nienu was born in Nupek on February 2, 1942, but his parents later moved to Sohumi village between 1946 and 47 to start a new church. Vikuosa Nienu grew up and was engaged variously with education and culture services of Nagaland before he was sent to New Delhi to learn about field archaeology. Here, he received his first field training and a gold medal from his post-graduation diploma in archaeology. between 1969 and 71 at the School of Archaeology in New Delhi. He was fortunate to receive his training from stalwarts such as B.B. Lal and B.K. Thapar. Upon his return to Nagaland, Nienu was appointed as the investigator of cultural research and officer in charge of archaeology at the Department of Art and Culture, a post he held until July 1974. He then left for the United States in September 1974 to pursue further studies at the University of California, Berkeley. He obtained 2 master's degrees and a PhD from UC Berkeley. Over a personal conversation with the author on 3rd February 2016, Nienu described his academic experience upon his arrival in the US as, "By the time I arrived in the US in 1974, the concept of new archaeology, often identified as American archaeology, was making giant strides, leading traditional historical archaeology of recording, cataloging, photographing, describing, fixing timelines of, and preserving the findings to a rigorous scientific approach to study and solving, explaining the discoveries." The principal theorist was Lewis Binford in the US. At the same time, in England, David L. Clark was making headway, whose major contribution was a rigorous application of general system theory. In the US, a few important learning centers had already emerged in the forefront, namely the University of New Mexico, Binford's place, the University of Arizona, Longacre, and others, and particularly at UC Berkeley, headed by Desmond Clark and Glenn Isaac. I was fortunate to be exposed to both the worlds of traditional archaeology and new archaeology. This was a giant step in the field of archaeological studies, generally, but more so personally, that made a tremendous impact in my profession as an archaeologist. At UC Berkeley, he was trained under the tutelage of John Desmond Clark and Glenn Isaac, both Britons and considered as stalwarts in Old World prehistoric archaeology, while George F. Dales, a leading expert on Harappan studies who led the South Asian archaeology at UC Berkeley, was his research supervisor. He also got to work in Arizona in 1975 to participate in the excavation at Grasshopper Pueblo, an Apache Native American site where the excavation was directed by William Longacre and Jefferson Reid of the University of Arizona Archaeological Field School. Within 2 years of completing his studies at UC Berkeley, Nienu was about to return to Nagaland and conduct a major research project by the National Science Foundation, USA. But the proposed project was derailed because the political situation prevailing at the time was extremely dangerous, restricting movements in Nagaland and surrounding regions in India. Nienu's accounts of the fieldworks over a personal communication with the author in 2014 reveals the conditions under which the work was carried out at the time. Even while our digs were in progress at Mimi Cave site, war broke out between a particular insurgent group, the Indian Armed Forces, a couple of miles away from the cave site, forcing us to flee, and this incident was not an exception. It happened frequently, disrupting our field schedules and our field objectives. The undesirable political situation in Nagaland took a nosedive the years following and continued unabated for the decades to come. This undesirable turn of events, especially having to abandon my pet project funded by the National Science Foundation, really disappointed me and also led me to seek employment outside of my profession, where compensation was much more lucrative than in the academic fields, and I have continued since. In later years, however, after his return to Nagaland, Nienu left archaeology. He joined the US Chamber of Commerce as a representative between 84 and 85 and was hired by a company named Amcor Petaluma, California, where he became the district manager between 85 and 95 and later became the regional director Genutech Capitola, also in California, between 2000 to 2002. And thereafter the director marketing and sales, Berkeley Daily Planet, Berkeley, also in California, between 2003 and 4. He also taught briefly at the Golden Gate Seminary Department of Intercultural Studies between 94 and 96 and Department of History, Patton University between 95 and 96 as adjunct professor. Even though retired, he still serves as an energetic consultant, while at the same time he is also a member of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, or the AAA. He taught at a number of universities at their request, but taught subjects other than archaeology, except at UC Berkeley, where he was visiting scholar of ethnoarchaeology since 2013. At other institutions, he mainly taught world religion and anthropology, cross-cultural communications, and multicultural studies.